Hello and welcome back to Boring Dad Gaming, where today I'm going to be playing some more Vampire Therapist. Before we start, a quick note, I've had to unfortunately mute the music in the game. When my first episode went up, I got hit with a copyright strike. I think it's that generic, club music you hear in the background. For some reason, that's copyrighted. I'd rather have music, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem that I'm able to. So anyway, moving on. We are going to be having a chat with, was it Edmund Kean again today, I think? See what his next problem is, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess so. I still ain't sure I'm the right therapist for that fella.
There may not be a right therapist for him, but let us think positively. He has put himself in your care, and that is a tremendous step.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm thinking it's gonna be an uphill battle, though.
At least his core distortion is clear, don't you think? You know what it is, I am sure.
It's going to be labeling, right? Oh. Okay, labeling isn't there. So what was his deal? He just didn't think anyone was up to his standards, didn't he? So is it disqualifying the positive, but externally? So he's disqualifying the positive about the modern world and its actors?
Is it disqualifying the positive?
You do know which client you are seeing tonight, yes? Inflating the positive might be more appropriate.
Oh.
Right. Guess I had a little brain fart. It's gotta be emotional reasoning. I ain't never seen someone so dramatic.
Certainly Edmund's thinking is derived from his intense emotions. But what spurs his emotions?
Why am I so bad at this?
It's personalization, right?
Of course, a distortion common to many with narcissistic tendencies.
I thought personalization was kind of like taking the blame for stuff. Let me read what the definition for this is, because I think maybe I'm misremembering that. Things happen because of us. Wrongly linking external events to ourselves. See, I didn't think that was his problem. Okay. Well, there we go.
Yep, it's the Edmund Kean show, all day, every day.
I recognize your disdain, but pause a moment. It must be difficult for Edmund to make everything all about him all the time, don't you think?
He doesn't have to make everything about him, though.
He doesn't know that. Keep digging, Samuel. You will find his truth. Choose your distortions well.
Okay, so I think probably like black and white thinking, overgeneralization. Maybe emotional reasoning and labeling? I feel like those are fair choices for him. I still feel that... Was he not the one where he was like saying he kind of externalizes this thing? I don't know.
I think
I
I'm
thought
all
he did.
holstered up now.
Very good, Samuel. I wish you patience and compassion. Good luck.
See you later, Andy. All right, now what did Andy teach me? Breathe. I think I'm ready. Right on time. I think I hear him coming. Hey, Edmund, good to see you. How you been feeling these past few weeks?
Empty, my dear boy. Empty. I am but a vessel made for a single purpose. But alas, and alack, that purpose is in supply most rare.
You mean acting, right?
Aye, that's the rub. Acting, my dear boy. Acting. My thespian blood goes rancid with stagnation, and the only cure seems to me irreprehensible now. I do not wish to face these mortal directors, for they dare to tell me my art.
Ain't that what directors are supposed to do?
Oh, my dear boy, some are born great, some achieve greatness, and others have greatness thrust upon them. No director can thrust greatness upon the already great. In mine own case, mine greatness hath already been achieved.
No director can thrust greatness upon the already great. In mine own case, my greatness hath already been achieved. Yeah, let's maybe we'll... Is he making that all about himself? No.
There is no room for improvement in Edmund at all. Is he truly perfect?
No director can thrust greatness upon the already great.
So is
In
this
my-
Nobody's saying you
Nosferatu?
ain't great, Eddie. You're talking in extremes. If every actor's awful or perfect, what the heck's a director supposed to do?
A most unenviable position, to be sure. I have directed, and did find it most odious. Indeed, a great actor can make the less talented seem even smaller.
But you get it. All the director's doing is making sure everyone's doing what they're best at, right? That ain't saying you ain't great.
I suppose, but it is most frustrating when I know best.
Well, maybe you can help me understand a little better. You said that greatness was thrust upon you, right? How did that happen?
Ah, you are curious to hear what circumstances created this actor non-pare. I cannot blame you. Well, recounting such a history will please me indeed. I first rattled the foundations of the stage as a mere babe. Indeed, too young for memory, and yet old enough to command attention. Clad only in swaddling cloth at the age of 4, I was Cupid himself. But my arrows seemingly went astray, for the entirety of the audience fell in love with me. It is the stuff of legend. For tender as my mind was, I could not bear witness to my own greatness. But it does prove that I was indeed born great.
But you said greatness was thrust upon you.
It was a matter of necessity. You may not guess it from my gentle speech, but I am no lordling. Selfishly, and surely to spite me, my father shuffled off his mortal coil when I was but a babe in arms, ere I ever graced the stage. It left my mother and myself in dire straits.
So this is personalization, right? Because he's saying like his father died just to spite him. So he's making his father's death about him, right?
Hold on a sec. You said your old man died selfishly. What do you mean?
Well, what kind of a father drinks himself to death when he has a beautiful baby son at home? I at least waited until my son was older before I did the same.
Eddie, come on. Listen to yourself. I'm sure you didn't die to spite your son, just as your pa didn't die to spite you. I ain't gonna deny his choices hurt you, but they weren't all about you.
Forgive me then. 'Tis ever the fate of an actor to feel every emotion more keenly. The situation my mother and I were left in was most precarious. We were the lowest of the low, you see. We lived in the rookeries and begged for our bread. But he that hath wit must make content with his fortune's fit. And oh, did we beg! She was my Queen Gertrude, and I her filthy little Hamlet. Did I mention I played Hamlet at age 14?
No, I hadn't heard that.
Well, anyway, my mother was a competent actress, but it was my wit alone that saved us from destitution.
Now these are blanked out, so I obviously haven't got the right cognitive doodad to answer that.
I was so prodigious that, at the age of 7, I garnered the attention of one Reginald Flopbot of the Worthington Flopbots.
Oh, the Worthington Flopbots. I
'Twas he
see.
who paid to get me off the streets and into the dormitories. He said, "Edmund, my cherub, the streets are not for you. One day you will be the greatest of actors."
Hey, how about that? You went and proved him right.
Piffle. Master Flopbot never gave a fig about my potential. I was a prop to him, a symbol of his generosity and high breeding. Every month he would stage an elaborate party with all the well-to-do society of London. The dandy fop would stand upon a dais and announce himself as the saviour of the city's poor. That was my cue. I would be lowered down from the rooftop, wearing naught but swaddling clothes and a set of opulent wings. The gentry's delight was my dungeon. But I would flit among them, reprising my breakout role as Cupid by shooting little arrows of love at them. At the age of 7, it was most disquieting. At 11, on the cusp of manhood, the shame was too much to bear.
Dang, Eddie, that sounds awful. That Flopbot fella had no right to do that to you.
No, indeed. I remember my last performance quite vividly. The titters and leering glances from the guests linger ever in the back of my mind. And fool that I was, I played my part still. I should have plunged mine arrows into that fool Flopbot's chest instead of shaming myself.
Fool that I was. Is that labeling?
You were a fool for playing your part. What choice did you have, Eddie?
It is simple logic. Only a fool plays the fool repeatedly. Many a bottom have I known that never played the Dane, preferring the comfort of a familiar role.
Well, Eddie, it's a little reductive to say that everyone who plays the fool is a bottom. There ain't nothing wrong with letting your partner take the lead.
I did wonder about commenting on that.
Oh, ye plebeian! I speak of Nick Bottom, from the Bard's Journey Through Whimsy that is a Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh, yeah. Even so, though, if you call yourself a fool, you're doing the same kind of typecasting, ain't you?
I suppose so. Regardless, I did not suffer the indignity for long. I swore that night to never be a puppet again. I stole away and gave myself to the mercy of Poseidon. The bargain was struck, and he swallowed up my hated swaddling clothes and wings. In desperation, I signed on with a mercantile shipping agency. I thought, perhaps, that my body would bend more than my soul. But oh, did I toil! Life upon the sea is most cruel. Biting winds did carve my visage. Low words hardened my heart, and heavy weights left me bent. By the time I had fulfilled my bargain with the Lord of the Sea, I had become an older man, my efforts etched into every crease on my face.
Dang, sounds intense. How long were you at this job?
He's gonna say, like, a day or something, isn't he?
An age.
Oh,
a
6
life.
months.
6 months, each one a hungry leech torn from my bleeding body. I am convinced this gauntlet was prepared for me alone, for ne'er in history has one so blessed by grace been subjected to such toil.
Now, I'm gonna... Is this emotional reasoning or personalization? I kind of get confused with the emotional reasoning, so I'm gonna just check this again. When we act like our feelings represent realities. Okay. So I get the shivers walking into this ghost town, so it's got to be haunted. Our feelings represent reality. Okay. Because personalization is kind of making it all about you, isn't it? It's personalization, then.
Eddie, I gotta stop you there. It's gonna be a lot easier to accept your truth when you realize you ain't alone in your suffering. Hell, there ain't nothing more human than suffering, and historically, kids ain't had it so good.
But none suffered as I suffered. A boy such as I was not meant for such misery.
Compadre, I had my first kill and no home at 12 years old. My brother had a stutter his whole life on account of the regular beatings my stepdaddy gave him. Maybe your suffering felt like the only suffering in the world, but it wasn't. And it'll hurt less when you realize you weren't alone. But keep telling me your story. I already know there ain't nobody like you in the world, so don't worry on that account.
Now then, at last, we close the circle, as nature ever demands. I return to London, and into the graces of my dear Uncle Moses and his comely mistress, Charlotte. 'Twas she who filled my dramaturgical quiver with dire arrows, fletched by the bard himself. And when my deft fingers plucked the bow of humanity, at last I was free.
Huh?
I cannot speak more plainly. The good woman taught me the works of Shakespeare, and armed with this knowledge, I conquered the stage and saved myself from toil.
Oh, well, right.
And so, you see, the die was cast from the moment I was born. The stage was made for me, and it was my skill upon it that saved me from the streets, and saved me once again from a life at sea.
There's got to be personalization again, right? Saying, you know, the stage was made for me.
Eddie, my man, I got some good news and bad news for you. The truth of the matter is, fate doesn't give a stable full of horse shit about you. Ain't none of us are that special. The world ain't waiting for us to show up. It's just gonna keep turning.
Perhaps you are right, my dear boy. You are correct. My success was not because of the fates, but in spite of them. The fates said, Edmund, you are a child of the slums. But I shamed the immortal hags in my own manner. The stage roused my spirit. Thus I knew my destiny lay upon it.
Emotional reasoning? Like... saying because he was emotionally affected by it, that was his destiny made manifest?
You got it, amigo. You wanted the stage to be your ticket out of the bad days. Maybe that's why you were so successful. Your intrinsic motivation made you keep pushing to be better.
'Tis so. 'Tis so. The threat of the rookeries loomed ever upon my overladen spirit. Acting presented itself as a way to keep myself out of them. It is natural that I should weigh its importance so heavily.
I can see why acting means so much to you, Eddie. I probably feel damn near the same about the things that got me out of my bad days.
Thank you. Then you understand how my alienation from the theater does pain me so. And yet, the cure is as deadly as the illness. These damnable critics! Not a single lifetime among them, and they deign to challenge my interpretation of the written word. They simply cannot relate to my singular experience. I will bare my soul upon that stage, and they will all sneer and malign it on their internet profiles.
Overgeneralization?
You're so certain that them critics are all the same, but I think that ain't being honest with yourself. Not all critics are bad. It takes work to be good at something, so of course the decent critics are gonna be rarer.
What you say rings true, indeed. Although past critics were flabbergasted at my portrayal of King Lear, not all were. And modern perspectives have affirmed that my interpretation was nothing short of brilliant.
Yeah, you get it. I took a look at your Wikipedia entry last night, Eddie. Maybe you've had a few bad critics here and there, but history says you're a legend, and your work speaks for itself. Hell, you were around before film was ever a thing, and people still remember you.
Ah, your words warm me, as an ersatz son for the one we have forsaken. With thy help shall I gird my soul mayhap, and grace the stage once more.
Well, let's talk about that then. What's the biggest thing stopping you from getting back up on that stage right now?
That it all simply might not be worth it. Why should I bare my damned soul when the audience hath not the sight to see it?
Maybe I can ask you a question then. What if there were no audience?
No audience? Do you know what a stage is, sir? It is a platform where life in brief may be portrayed. It is a platform because it is separate from the audience. Without such, the stage ceases to be a stage.
As in, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound?
Simply but elegantly put, my dear boy. Without the audience, the stage loses all meaning, like a monarch without a kingdom.
Well, that's got to be Nosferatu thinking, right?
Just a minute there, partner. You're saying that the stage is nothing without the audience. But I gotta ask you, where does the acting come from?
Ah, but from simple tongues, the purest of queries, narrow in breadth, but as deep as the sea. The source of acting is everything, my boy. The beating of every heart, the cry of every child, the fluttering of a butterfly's wings. The roots of acting are intertwined with those of life itself.
So does acting come from the audience or from everything?
My dear boy, you prove yet again, as the bard oft did, that 'tis the fool who sees the truth as it is. I bow to your simple wisdom.
Thanks, I guess. Let's figure out how we can bring it back to acting. Forget the audience. I know we can't see in mirrors and all, but what do you think of filming yourself?
Brilliant notion. Yes, I shall become my own audience. I shall bring myself to rapture. Forsooth, if I cannot pleasure myself, whom can I pleasure?
Phrasing.
We're still talking about acting, right?
Oh, my dear boy, the pleasures of the flesh are secondary to one who knows character above all else. Indeed, we speak of the noble art. I shall do as you suggest. If there is one on this lonely orb that can inspire an artist such as I, it is myself.
I ain't sure I'd put it exactly that way, but I think you're touching on the thing we've been talking about. The motivation's got to come from you, amigo.
We are of one mind, dear boy. Perhaps I left my muse in the mortal realm, but I shall find him once more. Not only for myself, but also for my public. Yea, the masses flock to my Wikipedia page as moths to a flame, each a silent plea for the return of the one true artisan of the stage.
Personalization, making it all about himself?
Now hold your horses there, fella. You're reading a little too much into the whole Wikipedia thing. There's 1.5 million reasons why people might be looking you up. I mean, I hear tell the biggest Wikipedia page out there is the one for that coronavirus that got all them mortals all worked up. And I'm pretty sure they don't want that coming back.
And thus dost thou scuttle a burgeoning friendship with the cannons of enmity. Why must you challenge me so?
That's my job, compadre. Ain't we had some good breakthroughs today? We couldn't have gotten there if I'd been busy agreeing with everything you said.
Oh, very well. But I still say you are most vexatious.
I've been called worse. I think we got some homework for you, though, right? You're gonna film yourself and do some acting for its own sake. We'll check back in a few weeks. But Eddie, I think you're doing great. We made a lot of progress today.
Naturally. The human condition is my oeuvre. Nevertheless, you have been a competent guide. You have reminded me of what is most important in unlife. Me. I should like to give you a gift.
Oh, come on. You don't need to do nothing like that.
Nonsense. It is meaningless to me, but it is beyond price for you. It is my headshot, signed with my autograph.
Oh, thanks, Eddie.
Cherish it always. If you help me to find my muse, then it is a gift even more precious. And I will find it ere we next meet. Of that, I promise you.
Well, let's not put the pressure on, amigo. Just enjoy some acting. That's all I'm asking for. I'll see you in a few weeks then, okay?
Verily, so it shall be. Godspeed then, boy. Thou shalt witness me new and on. Farewell.
A job well done, Samuel. I was particularly impressed at the way you challenged Edmund on what acting means to him.
Yeah, he's a weird fella, but I think he's gonna do okay.
It can be hard for our kind to retain our intrinsic motivation. Something must keep him going. I do hope that he will find his. But you, Samuel, must rest. The work you have done in these past 2 months deserves to be celebrated, so do not linger here in this dusty room. Perhaps you can even be encouraged to dance.
I think I'm gonna need a lot more therapy myself to get to that point.
Very well, Samuel. Then let us at least make sure you get well nourished. Find a friendly neck downstairs, my friend. You deserve it. And rest in peace.
Cool. Okay. Well, I think after a slightly rocky start to the episode, where I got into a bit of a rhythm there with the right cognitive distortions.
Well, they say don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys, but maybe don't let them be actors either.
I'll take a quick look at the journal. We'll check up on our second session notes for Edmund. Edmund's tied his whole identity to the stage because the stage saved him from the streets when he was a kid. Obsessed with the audience. Disqualifies the positive about any other actors. Definitely suffered abuse as a kid. Still thinking the same was he did as a kid. Sorry, the same ways, probably. That the stage is always going to offer salvation. I suggested Edmund try acting for his own sake. He forgot the fun while he was looking for safety. I hope it goes well. Okay, and I'm going to look up the journal stuff, see if we've got any more journal pages we might have filled out. No, we've read that one. Okay. Not to worry. Let's carry on.
Well, time to dish with Crimson a little. I gotta talk to some more folks, though. Andy's mainly my teacher, so I'm starting to feel like Crimson's my only friend. Hey, only friend.
Excuse me?
What? Oh, yeah, Crimson. Hey, Crimson.
Are you blushing, vampire?
No, that ain't possible.
It's all right. It's nice to hear from a vampire who's younger than Jesus. Now, let's hear how this week went before you go out there and find friend number 2.
All right, real quick. This client of mine, he had a real bad time as a kid. Well, worse than I did, it sounds like. But he found fame early, and now he's talking about fate and how he's destined for greatness again.
Met plenty of destined for greatness folk in D.C. I lost patience for it. How do you think you handled him?
Pretty well, I think, this time.
I learned my lessons from the last session. He didn't threaten to jump off a cliff this time or anything. I gave him an assignment, to film himself doing something he loves doing. He seemed excited about that.
You're either brave or adorable, Sam Walls.
There's nothing brave about it. As for adorable, well, some have used words to that effect before.
Okay, now I know you're confident enough to get out there. Giddy up.
Here we go. Right to the edge of the dance floor, but not on it. Don't want anyone getting any funny ideas.
Once more alone, I see.
Ah.
You scared the shit out of me.
But you can't shit. You're a vampire. Know that I see much, vampire, and that I like what I see.
Oh, it's her again. Well, I was hoping to find a mortal friend, or at least a willing Nick. Now, what do mortals of this time talk about?
Be awkward about something. Let's go everyday annoyances.
So, daylight savings time, huh? Whose idea was that? Van Helsing, am I right?
I like daylight savings. I can see things more clearly in the daylight. But I can also see how this policy is inconsiderate to vampires. I'm sorry, vampire. I see how this could be an inconvenience.
You see a lot, don't you?
Why don't you tell me what you see?
I see an interesting mortal. Someone observant. Someone who isn't afraid to have their own style.
That is what you observe. It is not what you see.
Well, fine, you tell me what I see.
You see the long vein across my throat. It looks very juicy, doesn't it?
Well, now that you mention it, it does.
Then consent is given. Do not hesitate, vampire.
Okay. But
Shucks, that was something else. You got good circulation there.
I see. And what do I taste like?
Kinda earthy. You could use some iron. What do you eat most often?
I eat a lot of carrots. They're supposed to be good for one's eyesight, and I like to see. I see now that you are tired and wish to enter your state of torpor.
Well, maybe I'll see myself out then.
That's offensive. I'm going to leave now.
Shoot, was it something I said? Well, at least I got a full belly. And now, time for some shut-eye.
interesting. It feels like she's related to like a Greek myth or something of that kind of
Good evening,
nature.
Samuel. I believe you are seeing the Ancient One tonight, aren't you?
Oh, Meddy.
Ancient one. She's 1,200 years younger than you, Andy.
I suppose I was engaging in a bit of labeling myself. You are, of course, correct. Still, her age presents a unique challenge. After one lives for 1,000 years, history seems less a line than a fixed point. Speaking of which, I imagine you can guess what distortion an old one such as Meddy might fixate upon.
So I was thinking about this. I reckon she's got to be the control fallacy, right? Oh. Might be overgeneralization then?
It's gotta be overgeneralization. She really is basing all her opinions on her experiences when she was alive.
Very good, Samuel. I heard tales of her island in my time, but they were never peaceful tales. I am not surprised she finds safety in her narrative. What other distortions do you think Meddy might exhibit?
Well, I think control fallacy seemed to be a big one for her. Probably black and white thinking. Labeling. She kind of put labels on a lot of people, I think, including us being a big mouse. We'll go disqualifying the positive. I wasn't really sure on the last
Good to go,
one.
boss.
Then I will leave you to it. Good luck, my friend.
Hello again, strange cowboy man.
It's good to see you again, Meddy. How's the past month been for you?
I went for a walk, just like you suggested. Didn't like it very much.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. What was so unpleasant about it?
It's very loud outside, and dirty, and smelly. Everywhere I walked, it smelled like mortal food, which is disgusting. If they knew how good it felt to drink blood, maybe they would not eat so much of this pizza food. There were so many cars, too. I don't like cars. They have hateful faces. They look so angry all the time. Stepped in a wee, killed 7 men, and got splashed by a bus.
Killed 7 men.
Quite awful.
You killed 7 men? How the heck did that happen?
Oh, that was inconvenient, you know. Normally I have my zealots do that kind of thing for me. They take care of the bodies. But I had to do all that silly work myself, and now there are always police sirens going off, which interrupts my streams and makes my followers very sad.
Why did that all happen?
Because they found the bodies everywhere, silly. I don't know what to do with my rubbish.
I meant why the killing? You didn't happen to make a few assumptions based on past experiences? Why kill a bunch of men?
Oh, well, they looked at me. I know what mortals who look at me are like. If I let them live, they'd probably try to burn me as a witch. I could do nothing but kill them.
So there's got a bit of a generalization here.
Hold on a sec. You know what mortals who look at you are like. How do you know? Are you reading their minds?
I don't have to read their minds, sweetling. I have known manlings for a very long time.
I get what you're saying. But here in this room, at least, we gotta be honest with ourselves. Do you really know what they were thinking?
Silly mouseling. I do not need to know what a wolf is thinking to know what a wolf is.
Does that mean every wolf you see is gonna try to eat you?
We don't have wolves anymore. They're all gone now.
So maybe you can see where that kind of thinking can be a problem. It was scared people who killed all them wolves, right? Now I know that thinking doesn't come from nowhere. Old as you are, I'm sure you've seen some real awful stuff.
That's right. Haven't killed you, though. You are kind, little mouse.
Well, let's lay off the mouse stuff a little.
I'm sorry. I don't wish for you to slide away into a little hole. Do you want to hear why I feel the way I do?
I would appreciate it greatly, miss.
Let me tell you about men from my time, then. Let's start with me da. My father sold me and my mother to a chief of a rival clan for a golden necklace.
That is just horrifying.
Oh, don't fuss, sweetling. It was the most beautiful golden necklace. At least 2 girls' worth. My father got quite a deal, really.
You're using humor, but I'm sure that must have been heartbreaking for you.
It was common at the time. I suppose I should have been glad to be the possession of an old chief. I knew girls who did as they were told. They would have been thrilled to have been the concubine of a powerful chief. But, oh, he was so old. Cormac O'Neill, the oldest man I had ever seen. I remember thinking, where is his face? Because I could not see it under all his disgusting wrinkles.
Whew. How old was the guy?
38.
That was pretty old in your time, huh? I wish I'd died at 38. Could have been a better looking corpse.
Well, he left an awful looking corpse. His face was all...
I'm guessing you had something to do with that, huh?
Not me. My boyfriend, Abertach. He told me he'd set me free. I suppose he did. He created a delightful poison for me. He said it would make my dear master die in excruciating pain. So, one night I lay with him, and that means I did sex, and when he was pleased, I fed him the poison mead. Abby did what I couldn't, and the old fool finally died.
Abby did what I couldn't. Control fallacy?
You're saying your boyfriend killed your husband, but it sounds to me like you did the real work. He mixed up some herbs, sure, but you were the one that had to sleep with the old man and get the poison in him.
Abby made sure I knew it was because of him that I was free. He said it could never have happened without him.
He didn't have to be brave to mix up a potion. I think the bravery was all you, Meddy. Don't disqualify the idea that the person who set you free was you.
You know, I think you're absolutely right, strange cowboy man. I did do all the work. But Abby never let me forget that he was the one who freed me. He wanted me to worship him.
A fella who demands to be worshipped is always going to be a dangerous man.
Dangerous men have always been drawn to me. Must be something about the way I am.
Okay, so these are grayed out, so I've obviously not got the right thing here.
So what happened after you killed Cormac?
The Neil clan came after me and Abby. They found him, took their swords and went, stab, stab, stabby, stabby, stab, stab, stab. But Abby just laughed. That's how I found out he was undead already.
Oh.
Gave me the willies. When they couldn't kill Abby, they decided to kill me instead. And that made him very upset indeed, because I belonged to him.
That must have been terrifying.
I suppose. Mostly hard. Lots and lots. Getting stabbed isn't much fun when you're immortal.
I ain't too fond of it as a vampire neither.
Abby fed me his blood, though, and then I became like him. When I woke up, the Nail Clan who tried to kill us were all properly dead. Well, almost dead. They still had a lot of blood left, and I was hungry. The Nail Clan was ever so cross, though. They captured Abby and sealed him in a tomb with some forgotten spells. He's still there as far as I know.
What happened to you?
I didn't have a future with my tribe. I insulted both my clan and Cormac's clan by killing their chief. My only choice was to be alone. That's the wisest choice.
Nosferatu thinking?
That kind of all-or-nothing thinking could get us in trouble. If we think all is lost, we're liable to do things we wouldn't normally do. I know I did some stuff I regretted in them moments, and I sure wish I'd taken a breath and stepped back in all them times.
You sound so sad when you say that, funny cowboy man.
I'm all right. I'm just saying, you're a capable lady. You've always got more options than you think in a bad moment.
Oh, but you're just a child. I don't want you to be sad.
Well, let's focus on you, huh? You say you've been living alone ever since then?
Of course, my silly cowboy man. We aren't mortal anymore. We will always end up alone. Why waste my time?
Caught between overgeneralization and Nosferatu thinking. I mean, I suppose you could say control fallacy as well, because she's saying she's powerless. Overgeneralization I'm going to go for, though. Nope.
Again, Meddy deals in
Yeah,
extremes.
yeah. Okay, so it was the other one I was
Come
thinking
on,
of.
Meddy. You're distorting a lot of reality there. All vampires ain't lonely. Some of us choose to be, but not all of us. Sure, mortals have a habit of dying, but there will always be more of them. Not to mention all the vampires out there. Heck, I used to be in a vampire gang. Cult. Well, kind of both. They weren't good company, but they certainly weren't lonely. I mean, ain't we talking? Well, there's loads of vampires out there who think like you do, and they're fulfilling their own prophecies of loneliness.
You're being a mean little mouse now, and I don't like it very much. Maybe I should have killed you after all.
I'm trying to help you, Meddy. The world's changed a lot in the last 1,800 years. A lot of it bad, but a lot of it good, too. By and large, most people ain't burning witches and selling their daughters. That sort of thing's frowned upon by mortals these days. There are laws out there to protect folks now. It ain't like in old times.
May I tell you a story, little mouse?
All right, tell me a story.
Once upon a time, there was a very pretty young lady. Pretty, but also crazy. Like me.
Labeling.
I don't mean to interrupt your story so soon, but you didn't think I was going to let you get away with that one, did you? Don't call yourself crazy. You've been around way longer than I have. You gotta know that sanity is relative.
I know I'm crazy, though. Everyone tells me so, even my zealots. They like that I'm crazy.
You know crazy ain't supposed to be a nice word. So why are you using it? Why are you creating a reality where what you are is crazy?
You are an annoying little mouse sometimes. Very well. I won't call myself crazy in front of you.
It's a start.
May I continue my story now? The pretty young lady Mary had moved in with her cousin, Mrs. Hultridge. At first they got along quite well. But one day, Mary started acting naughty. She would shout, act unladylike, and even say that Jesus Christ wasn't very special. Mrs. Hultridge liked Jesus Christ very much and wanted Mary to like him too. When she didn't, this embarrassed Mrs. Hultridge. She began to think something was wrong with Mary. After all, who didn't like Jesus Christ? Mrs. Hultridge said that Mary had begun to vomit up pins and buttons, nails, glass, and bits of wool. Instead of being grateful for the free gifts Mary was vomiting up, Mrs. Haltridge said that she had been attacked by 8 witches in spectral form. Now, it just so happened that all 8 of those witches lived very close to the town where Mrs. Haltridge lived. Despite their magical prowess, the 8 witches were captured and put into the stocks, and all the people of the town were told that the women did not like Jesus Christ at all. So the Jesus Christ-liking people threw rotten vegetables and poo at the witches. And then they kicked the witches out of town and lived happily ever after. The end.
Well, that ain't a pleasant story.
Oh, it was very unpleasant. It hurts very much to
Ooh.
have your eye taken away. But I like my new eye. It's fun.
I was wondering about her different coloured eyes. I thought maybe it was just, you know, the condition that some people have that does that naturally, but evidently not. Okay.
I was 1,500 summers old or so when that happened. The world hadn't changed much then. I don't think it's changed much now.
So that probably was, that would have been what, like the sort of early 1700s or something? So like, yeah, height of witchcraft. Sorry, witch trials, that sort of thing.
I'm sorry that happened to you, Meddy. You're right. Folk can be pretty awful when they get riled up. That ain't changed.
Oh, don't be sorry, little mouse. I like my new eye. Also, the story has a happy ending.
Oh yeah? What's that?
After I had my eye taken away, I took Mrs. Haltridge's parts away too, one by one until she died. It was so much fun.
That's a little morbid, Meddy.
Morbid Meddy? Oh, I like that. That's very clever, little mouse. But you see why I'm careful now?
Yeah, I get it. But look, there's one thing that's different now, and that's...
Probably the middle one, right?
It's what we're doing right now. In all that time up till now, therapy ain't never existed. We only just started looking at ourselves and the way we think. Before recent times, we only looked at gods, government, and society. The self is a new frontier, and we're learning stuff we never considered before. The frontier can be kind of scary, but being on that frontier means moving forward. Come with me.
Silly mouse. If something feels scary, that means that there must be something to be scared of.
That's probably emotional reasoning, right? But I don't have that
I know
selected.
you've been through a lot, and you got damn good reasons for being careful. But there's a reason you came to me, right?
Yes, but it wasn't because I wanted to go outside. It's because of my fans. They're very demanding.
Right. That's why we were talking about your going for walks and went down this rabbit hole.
Or, in your case, a mouse hole.
Anyway, therapy usually ain't about just one thing. It's about lots of things. If the problem is your fans, we gotta imagine unlife without them, right?
Don't want to lose them all. Some of them are gentle. They're too weak to hurt anyone, which is why they don't.
Labeling? Calling them too weak? No.
Beneath her smile, Meddy has a darker view of humanity than most. Is the only reason the weak do not hurt the strong that they cannot?
Don't want to lose them all. Some of them...
Overgeneralization?
You really think weak people would hurt others if they were stronger?
Little mouse, I've been alive for a long time. I believe what my eye shows me. Yes, if one is capable of hurting another, they do.
They can, but they don't always. You ever seen them capybara animals? They're dang massive rodents and could do some damage if they wanted to, I reckon.
Oh, yes! Oh, they're very cute. People like to share animated pictures of them in my community.
Some folk are like that. They just want to sit around and have someone scratch their bellies.
Is that what you want, little mouse? Do you want me to scratch your belly?
What? No, I'm just saying. Don't assume everyone's out to hurt someone. Yeah, it happens. Of course it does. But that kind of thinking ain't giving folks their fair shot.
Don't know what I'll do if I don't have my followers. I can't live the way I used to before the machines took over. Oh, they expect so much of me now. They send me messages all night and all day. They need content. God, if I don't give them their content, they'll all leave. Their attention spans are like those of little bugs, but they're not as cute.
Okay, well, it could be the Nosferatu thinking, or the overgeneralization, because she's saying that they'll all leave. I'll go with overgeneralization.
Okay, I think we need to talk about moderation.
Oh, I already have moderators, silly mouse. Any major content creator has to have them.
I don't know what that stuff means. I'm talking about moderation in your thinking. What if you gave your fans only what you felt comfortable giving?
Doesn't matter what I want, silly mouse. They just want me to overreact to video games.
Control fallacy, saying she's powerless, it doesn't matter what she wants? No.
Again, Meddy seems to view her followers as cattle, or all mortal.
Doesn't matter what I want.
Okay, so overgeneralization
silly
again then.
Meddy, you're thinking that mortals want only one type of content is forcing you to make only one type of content. Your assumptions are keeping you from doing things you like, and you deserve to do things you actually enjoy.
You're very kind. I thought cowboys were supposed to be tough.
Who says I ain't? I just don't have nothing to prove no more. Here, why don't we try something new for next time, since going out didn't go so well last time? I want to challenge you to take a day off. Don't answer any messages, don't post no content. Just do something for you and you alone. Take a sick day.
But we never get sick.
They don't know that, do they? One day. That's all I'm asking for. You need to give yourself a little space.
Very well. Since you've been a very kind mouse, I'll do it for you.
I'd prefer it if you did it for you, but we'll work toward that, huh?
Oh, I wish I had a big piece of cheese to give to you right now.
A lactose intolerance is kind of a side effect of death, but I appreciate the sentiment. I'll see you in a month then, okay?
Yes.
Great. I'll see you then.
Bye.
You are doing well, my friend. I know we old ones can be rather inscrutable sometimes.
She's human. We all are, ain't we? The way I see it, we all got the same problems one way or another.
Your wisdom never fails to impress, Samuel. I believe it is time for you to follow your own advice to Miss Meddy, however. All work and no play makes for a dull vampire, as they say.
Yeah, you're probably right. I might hit the hay early and do a bit of reading.
If you must take out some aggression on hay, then please do so. I shall see you soon, my friend. Rest in peace.
Good night, Andy.
This doesn't mean we're going straight to the coffin today. Or maybe straight into the next week. Don't know. No, down to the bar.
Dang, I wonder how I'll feel about humanity when I'm 1800. Heck, I wonder whether there'll even be a planet.
Okay, so let's skip ahead to Meddy's second session. Meddy's got real good reasons for not being fond of mortals, but it might be narrowing her worldview. Real bad history. Was sold to a rival warlord and killed by a wizard. I guess wizards are real now? Abandoned by her clan after she killed her new husband and became a vampire. Was pilloried as a witch in the 1700s and had her eye removed. She thinks it's pretty funny. She sounds disgusted by her followers. I'll try to encourage Meddy to do more things she likes for their own sake and get outside more. I'm going to skip ahead as well. May 10th was the last one we've seen. Here we go. So we got an extra page. I had a great weekend. I really needed to get out in nature again. I saw a whole... Wait a minute. Have I seen this one? Oh, I've done that one. Oh, okay. Yeah, that is one I've done. I don't know why May 10th seemed like the last one last time. I'm sure it was that one.
I guess it's time to drown my existential woes in blood. Howdy there, Crimson.
You're sounding a little weary there, cowboy. You getting enough to drink these nights?
Oh, yeah, that ain't it. Just existential ponderings.
That's just my specialty. What's eating you, buckaroo?
It's this old client I got. She's been watching humanity hurting itself for 1,800 years. Every time she expected better, she got hurt. She ain't wrong to mistrust mortals.
That's a tough one. What do you do with someone like that?
Well, I tried to guide her to look inward like I do with everyone. People are people, but so is she.
How do you think she took it?
Poorly.
I don't know, Crimson. I'm not sure this lady's even wrong in her judgments of humanity. She accepts it for what it often is. So she's giving them what they want, even at her own expense.
Sounds like you've been on the right track to me. She's never going to be content making other people happy, especially if she's not on the same page as they are.
Dang, Crimson. I can see why Andy respects you so much. You done some living, sounds like.
Death at the door can put things into perspective. I get where your client is coming from. Changing the world isn't going to happen, but we can at least change ourselves.
I don't think that's true. The country I left definitely ain't the country I was born in.
The wheels turn a little slowly for us mortals, cowboy. Back in D.C., I was trying to push policy to do something about our poverty problem, but the kind gentlemen across the street were pretty happy to make things worse. When I got my cancer diagnosis, that was my wake-up call to stop getting disappointed and start living with the little amount of time I had left.
Working at a bar is more rewarding than being a member of the bar, huh?
Not bad, cowboy. It's got its charms. Here, I whipped up something special for you.
That ain't half bad.
Rose hips. Just a little something extra. Been experimenting with some herbals for Andy.
Guess old dogs like us can still learn new tricks. Thanks, Crimson. I think I'll hit the hay now.
You hit that hay, desperado. I'll see you later.
Got a lot on my mind tonight. I think I need some rest. Now, what should I do to relax?
What you man? Get his butt burned with the hot iron. Yeah, that one.
I'm grateful that Andy has some classic cinema to watch in here.
Oh, it was more Three Stooges. Okay. Thing is, the credits take so long to play. I tend to leave it. Sing a song of sixpence. So I'll pause here, then I'll come back when the actual stuff starts. Here we go. God, everything's so slow, isn't it, in old-timey days? People had a lot more patience back then. Longer concentration spans. Do something!
That is the toughest spot I ever tackled. Only beat me. Sam, give me a hand, will you? I can't now. I gotta finish my pants.
Hey, fellas, listen to this letter. Gentlemen.
That ain't for us. We're not gentlemen. Speak for yourself.
Oh! Gentlemen,
Okay.
this is to inform you that unless overdue payments for tailoring equipment are made within 24 hours, we will repossess said equipment. Balance now due $321.86. Skin and Flint Finance Corporation. I, Fleeson, President.
I fleece
They'll
them.
put us out of business. What'll we do? You guys worry about that. I'm too young to worry and get wrinkles on my pretty little face. What we need is a little music to cheer us up. News flashes. Police are frantically scouring the town in search of Terry Slippery-Fingered Hargan. Hargan has robbed
That's probably
his
enough
18th
for now.
consecutive safe in 9 days. A large reward.
That's enough for one night. Time to visit Dreamland. Maybe I'll see my princess there.
So we should be having our therapy session now with Andy. Maybe get some new CDs.
Samuel, my dear, I do look
And then
forward to our chats. How are you feeling tonight?
We're going to come back and do this next time. So I'll just say thanks very much for watching this episode of Vampire Therapist. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, if you can hit that thumbs up button, that's always appreciated. As would be, leave me a comment, letting me know kind of what you're thinking about the game so far, anything that's we've seen or heard within it. I know there's been some interesting discussions on past episodes about elements of the characters, their past, but also sort of some of the therapy stuff that we've been seeing. Always great to see that discussion. Look forward to more. And, if you're watching this and haven't yet subscribed to the channel, it would be amazing if you could do so. So thanks very much, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.